Welcome to Our Hen House. This is Marianne Sullivan.
And this is Jasmine Singer.
We are so happy you are joining us for this week's show. I particularly love the interview this week. Jasmine will be interviewing Ben Goldfarb about his new book. It's about beavers. It's entitled Eager, which don't you think that's like the best title you've ever heard? God.
I know.
I just, the moment he thought of that title, it must have been so exciting for him. So if you don't know a lot about beavers and how cool they are and how important they are and how the world used to look completely different before we pretty much wiped them out for hats, for hats. And, you know, how it would be a really good thing if we were to get them back. You're not going to want to miss this interview. We don't do that many interviews about animals, and I really love it when we do.
Yeah, about like wildlife specifically.
Yeah, particularly about wildlife or just about animal nature and, you know, that sort of stuff. It's odd, but we do mostly, most of our interviews are movement interviews, not so much about the animals themselves. So I'm super excited.
Also, beavers, hello, lifelong lesbian. I'm just very excited.
Yeah, how like seriously? You had to go.
I'm sorry,
you had to go
did.
there.
I had. It's the last episode of the year. I know
you
just acknowledge
in the interview about how it's just necessary to get past the jokes because they're so stupid.
I know, but I kept making them in my head.
This poor, like, extraordinary, amazing animal is saddled with this, like, he kind of name.
But I am a fan of beavers.
And you fall right into that.
I totally do.
Pathetic place.
It's so good, though. I think it's an empowering, beautiful thing. It's like
whatever.
Okay. You will be here with Rising Anxieties also.
I will.
Yeah, which is also very exciting. The last one of the year. Bonus content for this week will be a very special holiday visit with the other two members of the Our Hen House team, John Frusciante and Michael Herron. And just as Marianne and I did for last week's Flock bonus content, John and Michael are going to be sharing some very special holiday memories, but specifically related to New Year's and New Year's resolutions. So definitely tune in for that. They like to call it our men house. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But,
well, I feel better about that than about the beaver jokes.
Okay, well, I feel better about the beaver jokes, but that's okay. We could agree to disagree. If you're a member of the flock, you'll get an email on Tuesday, the Tuesday after this podcast episode goes up, which is actually technically next year. Or you can find the bonus content on the flock Facebook page. And if you're not a member of the flock yet, please consider joining for $10 a month at ourhenhouse.org/donate. Speaking of donating, it is the very, very end of the year. And as we're recording this right now, we have not yet made the match that we need to. So we are like less than $2,000 away. Every one of your dollars up to $15,000 is being matched by our Barnyard benefactors. So if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, please, please, please go over to ourhenhouse.org and click on donate. Keep indie media alive. Keep our hen house going strong. We're going into our 10th year and we really need your help to get there so that we can get that $15,000. If you're listening to this and it's already 2019, Happy New Year. I hope it was a blast. Please also donate because January is a dry time for us and for many other nonprofits. So thank you so much for that in advance.
We are very, very grateful to our flock. Before we get to the interview, you mentioned that John and Michael are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions. I don't do actual resolutions. I don't know about you. I don't actually remember whether you do or not.
I don't really do resolutions, but I do really appreciate like markers of time. I find this is a really good, easy marker of time. I mean, there are some logistical reasons why, too. Like for our hen house, for example, our fiscal year is a calendar year. For a lot of nonprofits, it's not. So for us, just in terms of our hen house, we think about the next year's plans. And for me personally, call me cliche, but I actually do get a lot out of like setting goals for the year. Last year, I set goals for the whole year, divided it by month and week. And I recently went back and looked at what my goals were. And, I was pretty spot on, but I wouldn't have been able to accomplish them if I hadn't broken it down by month and then by week in order to kind of stay accountable to myself. Like,
you are a cliche.
LA. I know. And
no,
I
actually, I think that, it's a good idea. One of the bad things about like setting a New Year's resolution is that, and on January 1st, and you're going to do this. And then, like 3 weeks in, when you don't do it for a week, it's over. So I like that idea of have kind of like rolling commitments.
Yeah.
And intentions, setting intentions rather than resolutions. I just don't like that idea, that word resolution.
Well, I consider it like strategic planning just because I'm super type A and like I like to get things done. In fact, if I did resolutions, one of my resolutions should be to like calm the fuck down in 2019 and not be so focused on the goal all the time. But I did recently get into bullet journaling. I sent you a couple links about it.
I know you sent me an article to read and I didn't understand it.
Well, the article actually says that. The article's like,
it said nobody will understand it from reading this. So you apparently have to do it in order to understand it, which seems like kind of a big commitment.
The article is called WTF is a bullet journal and why should you start one? It's on BuzzFeed. It's written by Rachel Wilkerson Miller and Ellie Sunikawa. And Rachel Miller is the author of a book about, she calls it dot journaling, which is the same thing. I think she kind of like, I probably bullet journaling is trademarked or something. So she wrote a book about dot journaling, same thing. I have the book. I bought the book.
Could you get to the, like...
Yes, I'm getting to it.
So basically,
it's a way of like synthesizing your to-do list, especially if you have multiple like categories of it. And most of us do. I certainly do because I have 4 jobs. And then I just have a personal life too. It's a way of like cohesively putting all of that together along with your goals in life, like, and what you want to accomplish. It has a weekly dump where if like, oh, I have to like buy purple potatoes, you could throw that on there too. And then later you go back to it and you plug it into where you need to. It offers a series of like, symbols that you learn in approximately like 15 seconds. You learn them. Like one is a slash and one is a box. Like a box is an event. A slash is like a forget about it. You don't need to do it anymore. A dot is it's on your list. You have to move it. You have to migrate it into one of your dates. And rather than getting a journal that has like, all of your planner stuff like mapped out for you, printed, you just have a dot journal. Like it's just a graph journal basically, and it's empty. So you're writing on all the pages. Can I just
like rest my case that like I still have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm just going to throw this out there.
Don't keep trying to describe it.
I'm not going to keep trying,
but
I just have 2 more things to add. If anyone is like feeling really overwhelmed with their to-do list, just try it. It's like a $15 investment because if you get the Rachel Miller's book and journal combo, it's like $15 for the kit. So I did start following like #bullet journal on Instagram, which makes me feel like I am a bad person who should never leave my house because I have terrible handwriting and I make mistakes all the time. But one of the things that it does suggest is in order to incentivize you to do it, to like buy stamps and stickers and stuff. And you already know where I'm going, right?
Oh yeah. Stamps and stickers is definitely right up your alley.
Yeah. So I basically bought like, the craft store out of all of their stamps and stickers because I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm not like particularly artistic. So I'm just going to like put like the boss lady sticker on like the page where I have a meeting because I'm going to feel empowered by that sticker. And, so I'm super excited about it. I'm really into it. Don't yuck my yum. Don't rain on my parade.
Well, your excitement is palpable, but the project,
it's really helped me.
Yeah,
it has really helped me.
I get that.
Okay, good.
I probably should do it, but I just feel like it's way too complicated for my life.
I'm coming there in January. I'm going to show you mine, and you're going to be so, you're just going to be so impressed with me, and then you're going to get one for yourself. I'm sure of it. So I've been in the animal rights movement, whatever that means, for like a long time, for 15 years. And I say whatever that means because I think it's been clear on the show, on the podcast that like the movement, it's just like big air quotes. Like, what is it? Everyone who is working to change the world for animals would not necessarily say, yes, I'm in the movement. They would just be like, yeah, I just work in my community to change the world. So I used to work many, many years ago for Farm Sanctuary as the campaigns manager. And I had a variety of other jobs. 100 years ago, I worked for Viva USA. And I have definitely seen my share of animal cruelty videos. And it's funny because, now one of my jobs is I'm the director of storytelling at the Pollination Project, which provides small grants to do-gooders all over the world every single day. And it has it's a vegan baseline, so it would never fund anything that is exploitative of animals in any way, shape, or form, but it also has like an intersectional approach. Every day it offers small grants to do-gooders all over the world who are working in their community to create change. And so I'm still just starting at this job. I'm still at Veg News also in a different capacity now, heading up the digital media and of course our hen house. So at the Pollination Project,
that's only three.
Well, I have another thing. I'm trying to sell. I'm very close to like selling another book, and I'm sort of psychically counting that. Maybe I shouldn't yet. Like I've just jinxed myself or something, but I'll report back on that when it happens. Thankfully, I'm not too superstitious. But anyway, so so every day I get to like start my day reading these stories of these people in their communities who are changing the world. And it's really pivoted my outlook on the world to start my day with this hopefulness every morning, And it's such a juxtaposition from like starting my day off watching horrible videos of like cruelty to animals, that I think provides a lot of PTSD for people like me and most people who see these videos and can't get these images out of their heads. Of course, the billion-dollar question is, well, how do we teach people about animal issues if they don't see the footage at some point? I digress. Every day now, I get to read these stories of these activists all over the world because I'm handling the social media for the Pollination Project and trying to like leverage their stories in a variety of other ways. It's amazing, really. Like, just can I tell you about a few of the recent grantees?
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like today, the day we're recording this, I just went to the website to just see, what got posted today. There's a project called Queen Israel, which is the project lead behind the menstruation management education for adolescent girls in the Ebonyi state of Nigeria. And this is like a project that basically provides reproductive health and like AIDS prevention and life building skills for these girls in these schools in Nigeria so that they have a safe space to like learn about these issues. And it reminds me of this other project that I did tell you about that we funded last week called Pads and Panties, which provides pads and panties for girls in Nigeria who are missing school because they don't have pads or panties. And, all these simple things can make such a big difference. I recently learned about one much closer to you and in Harlem, the Harlem Wellness Center, which has a project called Better with Age, which focuses specifically on senior citizens in this area of Harlem, and it engages them with their talents and helps them to teach other people in their communities so that they can like fight against cognitive decline and loneliness and depression and all of these things that affect aging people. And this is specifically within this incredibly supportive community that is working to harness and celebrate its elders as opposed to like marginalize and push them aside. And, I was also really moved, I guess I'll just give you one more, by the Bicycles for School Children project, which assists these students in this remote area of Ghana to have access to quality education by way of providing bicycles to improve school attendance, because once they get out of the primary school, they go to the junior high school. There's like 5 miles in between the primary school and the junior high school. So a lot of kids drop out at that point. And so this project, helps them by providing bicycles. I mean, this is seriously like just a drop in the bucket. It's so awesome. And there's a lot of animal rights projects too, and a lot of vegan projects. In fact, there's this one guy who we're going to interview on our hen house in the near future who is giving, basically providing water bowls to stray animals in India. And, it's these simple things that like I'm so inspired by. And I feel lucky because grassroots activism, in my opinion, is really made so much more effective when media is added to the grassroots efforts,
Well, I think it's just super exciting. I'm very envious of your job. I think it's really meaningful the way you talked about how like it just changes your whole life when you get to involve yourself each day with these inspirational projects. And it's also this huge reminder of, how other people live. It sounds like a really amazing experience.
Well, it speaks to why we at our hen house are indefatigably positive too, because hopefulness and and celebration and adding like goodness to our lives is like absolutely integral to the longevity of our activism and just our general like mental health.
Yeah, that's actually the subject of one of the 15-second videos that you want me to make, which I do not know how I said I would make videos. Like, it is beyond me. But you want me to make these end-of-year videos, and one of them is about the importance of positivity. I don't make videos. Did I ever said that?
When did
I agree to this? Anyway,
Michael said it, and you agreed, and John was on the phone. All four of us were on the phone.
Anyway, but I do really believe in positivity. So at least it's a subject. I mean, it just makes a big difference, especially when you're dealing with as much suffering as all of us in this movement have to deal with. So and at least I know the purpose of these is to go up on social media, but at least I will not ever see them because I am so over social media.
You hate it.
Oh my God, I'm so sick of it all. I mean, there's all the political stuff, like that everybody's mad at Facebook, but I'm just sick of it. Like, is it because I'm antisocial? I don't know. I'm anti-social media.
Well, I think it's like I mean, they're on a political level, that's one thing, but on a personal level, like it's such a tiny glimpse into like what people's lives are actually like that I think that when you're you and when you're me, you smell bullshit like a mile away, and it's like, okay,
I don't know whether that's it. I just like the one I really don't get is the popular one that I'm supposed to learn how to do, and I was going to get my niece to teach me how to do it better. It's not like I'm completely inept at it, but to get skilled at it is Instagram. Like, who cares about all these stupid pictures of everything? Like, why do people look at it?
But young people, like so many, like
it's the popular one. It's the hot one.
But my last like 3 interns at Veg News, went vegan because of Instagram. So, and I'm not in that age range either. Like
I'm not criticizing it if it works for people. I'm just talking about how, like, I don't get it personally. I guess I'm just like, an old fogey. You're not an old fogey. Like, it is. I've been at so many meetings where like the people under 25 who are at the meetings can only focus on the meeting at hand when they're like strumming through their Instagram accounts, and it's like it's not a conscious thing. It's like they have to kind of take in the information on one level in order to focus on another tract. And I'm wondering. I don't totally get it. I know
either.
People's brains have been changed, and maybe for the good. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, but I'm so sick of social media. Like, I hope I get over it, but I don't know whether I will. The thing I do want to do. I want to do less of Facebook, but I want to keep doing the podcast, of course, and I really want to add like the more of the type of interview you're doing today about wildlife. It's been an issue for us. One of the reasons that it's been hard is that frequently wildlife advocates or people who know a lot about wildlife, who are passionate about wildlife, aren't vegan. And, it's not like we never interview anybody who isn't vegan. We've interviewed people who aren't vegan. It's not like a litmus test. But usually it's in this kind of situation where they know a lot about a subject that's of interest to us. And we stick to that subject and we don't get, go into all of their stupid excuses for why they're not vegan. But, it is a little weird. I find it a little weird. But I just think that wildlife, especially subjects like urban wildlife, looking to the future, how we are going to live with animals in this world that is overrun with humans and how they are going to continue to survive and how we can get along better. I think it's really important. And I also just think it's so deeply spiritual and inspirational to talk about wild animals. And that's why I'm really excited about today's interview. Beavers are even cooler than I thought they were. And I learned so much from this interview and from this book. It's by Ben Goldfarb. And the full name of the book is Eager, The Surprising Secret Life of Beavers and Why They Matter. And he really shows why they matter really a lot. He's an award-winning environmental journalist. He covers wildlife conservation, marine science, and public lands management. And he has really a lot to say about beavers, and it's all pretty fascinating.
This episode is brought to you in part by our friends at Sunday Scaries CBD Gummies for Anxiety. This brand custom formulates gummy bears infused with cannabidiol and vitamins B12 and D3. They provide a cool, calm sense of relief and act as an all-natural, non-habit-forming remedy for anxiety. Sunday Scaries are perfect for eliminating manifestations of worry, overcoming moral hangovers, and dealing with everyday bullshit. They can be ordered at sundayscaries.com, and all website purchases will be shipped right to your front door. Sunday Scaries recently released their animal-friendly vegan AF CBD gumdrops, which are made without gelatin and without any byproducts from animals. Use promo code OurHenHouse, all lowercase, for 10% off and free shipping in all 50 states on sundayscaries.com. That's sundayscaries.com. Welcome to our henhouse, Ben.
Thank you so much for having me, Jasmine.
I'm so excited to talk to you. Can we just get out of the way, like right at the beginning, that we absolutely understand that the word beaver has like a giggle-inducing, salacious meaning. And, you know, 2 lesbians host the show. So I just wanted to put it out there. And now that I have, can we just ignore it and move on? Because these animals deserve, you know, like serious attention. Is that cool?
I've heard every beaver joke you can imagine in the last few years, so I'm totally ready to advance the conversation beyond that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I might like joke a little bit in my head throughout this interview, but that's my business. So, and I have to say, I didn't really know this story. So tell us briefly what happened to beavers, particularly in North America. How many were here when white folks arrived, and what happened to them?
Yeah, so we don't know exactly how many beavers live in North America, but the best available estimate we have is as many as 400 million. So just an incredible number of beavers. And when European colonists arrived, they sort of systematically set about annihilating those beavers. The fur trade was one of the most sort of economically important early American industries, those beavers. So beavers, they unfortunately, they make really fantastic hats. They have this very dense fur, and their individual hairs actually kind of lock together like Velcro. They have little barbs at the end, which makes them really good hat making material. So those beaver pelts were one of the most important economic resources that European colonists found when they arrived in North America, and they set about trapping out those hundreds of millions of beavers, from East Coast to West Coast. So by 1900, those hundreds of millions of beavers had been reduced to maybe 100,000 or so beavers. So it was really one of the great animal near extinctions of all time, on line with bison or passenger pigeons or, whatever formerly abundant creature that was then wiped out that you want to name.
Wow. I had no idea. Can you explain what it is that beavers do? We all vaguely know that they build dams. I've seen some cartoons with beavers building dams, and that they're eager, great title, by the way, and that they're very busy, but, not much more than that. So what are they busy doing, and why do they do it?
Sure. So, of course, the classic beaver behavior is they build dams, right? And the reason for that is so beavers on land, they're kind of slow and clumsy, and they get eaten by wolves and bears and cougars and coyotes. Whereas in water, they're really amazing, powerful, agile swimmers. So they're much safer in water. So the idea behind building dams is by sort of expanding the extent of that water, they're just, creating more habitat for themselves, essentially. And that turns out to be incredibly important because we know that, especially, in the American West, water is life, right? It's a pretty arid region, and anything that's capable of creating and expanding water becomes immensely valuable. So, beavers they're building their own habitat, but they're also inadvertently building habitat for frogs and salamanders and fish and amphibian and waterfowl and moose and songbirds. and hummingbirds. I mean, it's almost easier to name a species that doesn't use beaver habitat than one that does, because these habitats are, again, they're just so important for all kinds of different critters. Beavers are sort of considered a keystone species, a species that's holding up the entire ecosystem. So you can imagine that when all of those beavers were trapped out by European fur trappers and traders, that was just sort of this environmental catastrophe. So many animals lost that watery habitat they need. We lost hundreds of millions of acres of ponds and wetlands and other really important environments. So, we don't really think about beaver trapping as being this sort of early economic or environmental catastrophe, on line with deforestation or industrial agriculture. But in many ways, it really was this enormous disaster.
I was really surprised when I was looking at your book to learn about the environmental apocalypse, and it's just yet another like horrific way that we have historically exploited animals. And speaking of which, while the fur trade may have diminished, hatred of the beavers largely hasn't. What is the general attitude toward them now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it's slowly changing, but you're right that in many places they're sort of considered the enemy, and the reason for that is that beavers can be challenging to live with in some ways, right? I mean, humans and beavers sort of favor the same kinds of places. We both like floodplains and these fertile, low gradient river valleys. That's where we build our roads and our farms and our towns, and of course beavers. That's where they build their dams and canals and create lodges. So in some ways we're sort of occupying the same habitat, but beavers are we have different ideas about what the habitat should look like and what sorts of activity should be going on there. So the result is that that beavers frequently conflict with people. They flood people's yards or fields. They clog up road culverts, which are those little metal tunnels that go under roads. Beavers will clog those up and then wash out the road. They cut down people's fruit trees, that sort of thing. So, in general, those kinds of conflicts are handled with lethal trapping by killing the beavers. And when you do that, of course, you're losing all of these wonderful ponds and wetlands that the beavers are creating. So a lot of this book is about finding ways to coexist with these animals, to sort of harness all of these wonderful benefits they create, while mediating these kinds of conflicts without having to resort to killing the animal.
You said the saga of beavers isn't just the tale of a charismatic mammal. It's the story of modern civilization in all its grandeur and folly. That's a big statement. Why are beavers so significant in the way you think about the world?
Yeah, yeah, it does sound a little bit grandiose when you read it, Jasmine. But
well, I live in the land of hyperbole, so I like grandiose statements.
Okay, I'll see you there then. Okay. So first, I think that I made this statement for a couple of reasons. I mean, the first is that again, beavers were just such an integral part of early American history. It's like when you look at sort of all of the events between European arrival and the Civil War. And of course, I should add that Native people had, thousands and thousands of years of relationships with beavers, and that beavers were considered sacred to many tribes for their water creating abilities. And they were also, really important food resource for lots of tribes. So, certainly humanity's relationship with beavers goes back far, far, far before European arrival in North America. But anyway, the point of the statement that you read was that beavers were just at the heart of so many early historic American events. The American Revolution, for example, one of the things that that angered the colonists was the British denying them access to the trapping grounds west of the Appalachians. So that was one of the things that sort of precipitated the Revolutionary War. The Louisiana Purchase was largely fueled by Thomas Jefferson's desire to secure more lands for the beaver trade. When the first colonists arrived, they owed lots of money to their creditors back in Europe.